This is lesson 10.5, angle relationships in circles. So when a secant or a chord and a tangent intersect at the point of tangency, we're going to create an angle that's on the circle. We've already seen an angle on the circle with an inscribed angle, but this is another instance where the vertex of the angle is on the edge. So the formula is going to be the same as before. Our on formula will be twice the measure of the angle is equal to the measure of its arc. So 2 times angle equals arc. The only difference is we now have 2 angles in the picture and 2 arcs in the picture. So angle 1 belongs to this arc AB, and angle 2 would have belonged to this arc BCA. So we have to make sure we're using the correct angle with the correct arc. So for example 1A, we want to find measure angle 1. Angle 1 is on the same side as the arc that we're using, so we can use 2 times angle equals arc. 2 times angle 1 is equal to the arc, which is 130. So if I divide by 2, the measure of angle 1 would be 65 degrees. For example 1B, we're looking for angle GEF. Angle GEF is this angle over here. That would have belonged to arc GE. What they gave me was arc GHE. So to get arc GE first, 360 minus 308 would be 52. So this arc is 52 degrees. So if 2 times the angle is equal to the arc, 2 times x is equal to 52, and we would divide by 2 and get 26. So the measure of angle GEF is 26 degrees. Here's a check-in for you to try. You can pause. Answers are posted on Google Classroom. For example 2A, we want to find the measure of arc KJL. So they've already put it in red for us. It's the arc that's on the same side as the angle. I know the 125 is the angle and not the arc because they've tucked it in on the picture. If it was the arc measure, they would have put it on the outside of the circle. So 2 times angle equals arc. 2 times my angle is 125 is equal to, let's call it x for right now. So 250 is equal to x, which means that the measure of arc KJL is 250 degrees. For example 2B, we want arc XY. So the arc that we're looking for is on this side. We have 2 options here. We could use the angle we were given to find the larger arc and use the larger arc to find the smaller arc. Or we could use the angle that we're given to find the other angle and then use the other angle to find that arc. I'm going to go and I'm going to find this arc first, and then I'll find that one. So for this one, the much, much, much bigger arc, 2 times angle equals arc. So 2 times 151 is equal to that arc. So that arc is really 302 degrees. Since a circle adds to 360 and it's only made of these 2 arcs, we could do 360 minus 302, and the measure of arc XY would be 58 degrees. So here's 2 check-ins for you to try. You can pause. Answers are posted on Google Classroom. When 2 lines or segments intersect inside the circle, but not at the center, then twice the measure of each angle formed is equal to the sum of the measures of the intercepted arcs. Again, there are multiple angles being formed and multiple arcs being formed. Not all of them go together. So angle 1, 2 times angle 1 would match up with these 2 arcs, arc AD and BC. But if we're talking about angle 2 would talk about these arcs. So that would be arc AB and arc DC. So we have to make sure that the angle lines up with the arcs that we are using. For example, 3A, we want to find the measure of angle AED. That's in that corner. So this angle here lines up with the two arcs that we want to use, so that's fine. So if we're setting up 2 times angle equals arc plus arc, that's going to be 2 times what I don't know, x equals 45 plus 109. If I add 45 and 109 together, we get 154, and dividing by 2, I get 77. So the measure of angle AED is 77 degrees. For example, 3B, we want to find the measure angle YWX. So this one over here. This angle matches those arcs. So we have 2 options again. I could choose to find this angle here using the arcs that I do know. So if we call this angle Y, those arcs belong to angle Y. So I could say that 2 times angle equals arc plus arc. So 2 times Y is equal to 43 plus 81. So 2Y is equal to 124. So Y is 62. And then X and Y together form a linear pair. So X plus 62 is equal to 180. I would get 118. So the measure of angle YWX equals 118 degrees. My other option for this particular problem would have been find 43 and 81, which is 124, and take that away from 360 because that would be what the remaining 2 arcs added to. So then 2 times angle X would have been whatever that sum was, or technically difference, and that would be how we could solve for X. Here's 2 check-ins for you to try. You can pause. Answers are posted on Google Classroom. Example 4B, we want to find the measure of arc QT. So arc QT, if I could draw it, was there. I knew the arc with 95 was there, so I need to be using one of these angles here. Right now I have the 79. Since they're a linear pair, 180 minus 79 is 101. So these angles are 101 degrees. So 2 times angle equals arc plus arc. 2 times 101 is equal to 95 plus x, because we don't know what arc QT is. That's going to be 202 equals 95 plus x. And if I take away my 95, we get 107 equals x. So the measure of arc QT is 107 degrees. I'm just now realizing we skipped example 4A, so we're going to go back to that. I don't know how that happened. So here we want the measure of arc LK. This one lines up perfectly with the angle that we have. So this is the easier one. That's why this example was supposed to come first. If 2 times angle equals arc plus arc, 2 times the 62 is equal to x plus 74. So 124 equals x plus 74 minus 74. X is 50. So the measure of arc LK is 50 degrees. So now here are 2 check-ins. You could pause. Answers are posted on Google Classroom. Our last kind of intersection is when 2 secants or tangents intersect outside the circle. They're going to create 2 different intercepted arcs, one that's outer and one that's inner. And we use the phrases outer and inner compared to where the angle was. So if here is my angle, the one further from it would be an outer arc, and the one closer to it would be an inner arc. We see that there's 2 unused arcs in that picture, and that's fine. If I'm looking at this picture with angle A, Then this big arc here would be my outer arc. This one here would be my inner arc. And there happens to be another piece of arc that we're not using. Again, that's fine. In the third looking picture, we have our angle. We have this is our outer arc. And this is our inner arc. These two arcs make up the entire circle, which means in only this instance, the outer and inner would add to 360. So our outside formula, twice the measure of the angle is equal to the difference of the outer and inner arcs. So 2 times angle equals outer minus inner. Example 5a, we want to find the measure of the angle L. So if 2 times the angle equals outer minus inner, that's going to be 2 times the angle is x equals my outer arc is 140 minus my inner arc is 66. So doing 140 minus 66 gives me 74, and dividing that by 2 gives me 37. So the measure of angle KLM is 37 degrees. For example 5b, we want to find arc SW. So we're looking for this arc out here, which will be our outer arc. So 2 times the angle is equal to the outer minus the inner. So that's 2 times 40 equals x minus 75. So we're going to have 80 equals x minus 75. Add the 75. So the measure of arc SW is 155 degrees. Example 5c, we're looking for the measure of arc MK, which this time is the inner arc. 2 times the angle is equal to the outer minus the inner. So 2 times 56 is going to give me 112 equals 160 minus x. If I take away the 160, we get negative 48 is equal to negative x. The negatives will cancel. So the measure of arc MK is 48 degrees. There's 3 check-ins here for you to try. Pause. Answers are posted on Google Classroom. So for example 6, we're looking for the angle Q. You'll notice in this one, all I have is a number for the outer arc. Q is going to be my variable, but I still need to put something for my inner arc. If you remember earlier, I said since the circle is only made of these 2 arcs, we know that the outer and the inner add to 360. So 360 minus 313 is 47. So the inner arc is 47 degrees. So now 2 times angle equals outer minus inner. 2 times x is equal to 313 minus 47. So 2x equals 266. And dividing by 2, we get 133. So the measure of angle Q is 133 degrees. Here's one for you to try. Pause. Answers are posted on Google Classroom. So this just is an overview of the 3 formulas and the locations and what they are. So when it's on the circle, it could either look like this, where it's 2 sides, or it could look like this, where it's an actual angle opening up. And for both of those, it's 2 times the angle is equal to the arc. For inside, it's 2 times the angle equals arc plus arc, but making sure we're using the arcs that truly belong to the angle in question. And for outside, when the vertex happens outside of the circle, it's going to be 2 times the angle is equal to the outer arc minus the inner arc. Right? Same thing here. Inner, outer. So the next examples are just going to use algebra, but also they're going to mix them all together. So we have to figure out which formula we're going to use for each one. So for example, 7a. The two lines cross right here. That's inside. So inside was 2 times angle equals arc plus arc. It helps to write down the formula that you will use for each problem once you identify what it is. The next thing I'm going to make sure is that this angle here does in fact belong to those two arcs, which is true. So I have everything I need. 2 times the angle is equal to the arc plus the arc. If we distribute, 6x plus 46 is equal to 130. Take away our 46. 6x is equal to 84. And when we divide by 6, x equals 14. For example, 7b. If I put a dot where the two lines meet, that's on the edge of the circle. For on, it's 2 times angle equals arc. So we're going to do 2 times the angle, 6x minus 38, is equal to the arc, which is 140. And this angle in this corner did belong to this arc over here. So let's distribute. 12x minus 76 equals 140. Add our 76. So 12x is equal to 216. And then divide by 12, and we get x equals 18. Example 7c. If I look at where the two lines cross, that's outside. The formula for outside was 2 times angle equals outer minus inner. So the angle is 7x minus 1. The outer arc is 161, and the inner arc is 65. Let's distribute. 14x minus 2 equals 161 minus 65 is 96. Add 2. So 14x is equal to 98. And when I divide by 14, we get x is 7. Here's some check-ins for you to try. You could pause. Answers are posted on Google Classroom. And for our final example, this is another outside problem because the vertex where the two lines meet is outside. So I'm going to need to use an outer arc and an inner arc. The inner arc is 86. I don't currently know the outer arc. 74 plus 86 is 160. And if I take that away from 360, I get 200. So this arc here has to be 200 degrees. If I do 2 times angle equals outer minus inner, that's going to be 2 times the 4x plus 13 is equal to the 200 minus the 86. So we're going to get 8x plus 26 is equal to 114. We'll take away the 26 from both sides. So 8x equals 88. And divide by 8. So x is 11. The final check-in is here. Careful, because the angle you're given does not correspond to the arc you're using, so you will have to do a little bit extra. But that's it for this lesson. The answer for that problem is posted on Google Classroom, and that is section 10.5.